Hello, hello, how are y'all doing today? Seems to be a little bit slower in chat. That's all good. Hello, hello shadows, how are y'all doing? We're finally bringing it all together. Actually, a first couple of things before we actually get into stream today. How does my mic sound now? I looked through some of the previous VODs, and I noticed after changing some of my mic settings, the mic quality was absolutely scuffed. So I decided I went through a lot of the filters that I was trying to play around with to try and get better sound quality over the last few streams, and I just decided to gut all of them because for the most part, I think they're just altogether hindering the quality of the sound. So now I'm pretty much just running it raw. The only thing I have is like a limiter and a noise suppressor, but that's about it. It's better, I think. I hope it does sound better because I'm not gonna lie, watching the last two VODs over, at least like some parts of it, I got a fucking headache just listening to my own voice. And I noticed that as well. I don't know if it's just me or something, just me listening to my own voice, but I get a headache whenever I have to listen to myself. Useless Solaris, hello. Oh wow, limit model got an improvement. It did get an improvement quite a while ago, actually. I was trying to okay, this whole smiling and like frowning, the mouth form thing is still super sensitive, and I cannot for the life of me tune it so it's not without going into like live 2D cubism and modifying it there directly, which I don't have a free trial anymore, so I don't know, I'll have to figure something out or ask Fire Eagle to make some modifications. But literally like the 5 minutes before stream started, I'm just sitting here looking into the camera, not just testing the new mic filters, but I was just going to the camera and going like, just like fucking flipping my mouth up and down with quick succession, but I can't do it with my mouth closed. Like I can't be depressed just by default. I'm like perpetually smiling unless if I open my mouth. Man, it's scuffed, but it works, adds character. I mean, if it's not scuffed, it's not part of the limit model, right? No part of this model is polished whatsoever. That's just the scuffed nature of my quality. I don't know. Who knows? This might be my model for the next like 10 years. For the rest of my time streaming, who knows? I might never get a new model. It's just too iconic at this point, you know? I don't know if I were to get a new VTuber model, what would it even be? I can't be a turtle. I can't be an animal. I feel like that's too overdone, you know? First there was Beetle, and then all the other AI VTubers or people who have pets or are the pet of their main VTuber or whatever. All of them are always animals, and so I feel like we gotta do something different. Be a toaster? That's an idea. We could be a tech wizard toaster. A toaster making an AI VTuber. That's actually sick. Still no smile? What do you mean? I am perpetually smiling. How am I not smiling? It's all smile. Yeah, it's all smile, bro. I cannot stop smiling. I'm just too happy. No, I actually need to fucking change some parameters with this model because it's impossible for me to frown now. You got antidepressants? Yeah, I'm like a little too happy. I need to start taking some depressants. In fact, let me see if I can make some changes in VTube Studio right now. I did raise the floor for frowning, but it's like whenever I frown now, I feel like it's normal. Honestly, let me change it back to normal. Oh, it's closer now. I need to raise you a little bit. Okay, wait, this is a little bit better. Okay, there it is. I think I got it. Still though, whenever I speak, I'm gonna have like the massive down curve, the chevron, the oh, the the blank face we all know and love. The fucking blank face. Doing off-stream things on-stream, pro streamer. I'm not gonna lie, I woke up and I chose to be lazy today. Like, after I finished studying my German stuff for today, and what else did I do? I did my gotcha dailies, ate lunch, and then I just laid in bed and just laid there until there was like 20 minutes before stream. And then at that point, I just thought to myself, you know what? Fine, fuck it. I'll roll out of bed and I'll go fix the fucking audio issues. I'll go try and fix the smile a little bit. And then I'm probably not gonna have enough time before stream actually starts. And would you look at that? Here we are now. Yeah. Which gacha game? I play 6 different gacha games. It is a chore, I will say. It's actually not that much of a chore because it's not like I actually play them, right? I just do my dailies, and we all know as a gacha game player, dailies takes like 5 minutes max. Most of the time you can just AFK them in the background, right? So I'd say at most it really takes me 1 hour. The one that takes me the longest is definitely Uma Musume, just because I want to get the trainings done. But that's just on me. Usually I would just skip them. But yeah, today, we are finally putting everything together. Everything as in, if you weren't here for the last 2 weeks, I think, was it 2 weeks? Yeah, the last 2 weeks, we have been remaking J.A. Eisen for my own personal development. And when I say my own personal development, I mean my own dev version of Project J.A. Eisen, to which I can use to run J.A. Eisen for these streams, but not necessarily be an actual part of the open source project J.A. Eisen or Project Vita. Because over the last half a year or so that I've been streaming, I have been having a lot of problems with progressing and making new features and fixes for J.A. Eisen, because I feel like I've been strapped down to the fact that whatever I code will eventually make it into open source Project J.A. Eisen, Project Vita. And that, the amount of planning, the amount of experimentation, and the amount of, I guess, restraints that I have to not absolutely butcher the code or do things in a certain way that is still very maintainable and understandable to the general public, I felt like that was bounding me down a lot. And just being able to have my own personal version where I can say anything goes, I can throw in my own secrets, my own personal system specific integrations, all of that stuff. I feel like by having my own version there, I can do whatever I want. I can make a bunch of cool stuff for J.A. Eisen, and then I'm free to do experimentation on that side project. And if I find a feature that I like, such as structured outputs for tool calling, for example, then I can take whatever features I like from my own version of Project Vita, Project J.A. Eisen, and add that back into the open source version and share that with the rest of you, right? R.I.P. Haru Urara? R.I.P. That is actually a tongue twister. R.I.P. Haru. We all love Haru here. I've been missing progress for months. It's all good. I've been waiting for a progress video. That's another thing as well. Like, I've been wanting to make videos for the entirety of September. I was supposed to make 2 videos for September. One of them was supposed to be released by now. But with everything going on with personal Project Vita, personal Project J.A. Eisen, I think it just makes more sense for me to release the majority of those after September. And you'll see why. I'm not going to explain them right now. There's just maybe like 1 or 2 videos that I think could make sense for right now, specifically to do with things before I started this whole development. So what was it? MCP tool calling and possibly memory management. The thing with memory management, like I said last stream, is that there's a bunch of loose ends for that kind of arc that I've been doing research on, and I found some solutions for the problems that I've been facing, which I'm not going to go into now because there's quite a few, but I haven't actually played around or experimented with them yet. And they're probably going to be things that I experiment on my own off stream after this month is over. What is this video you sent, by the way? Oh, it's my own video. Not gonna lie, I feel like I've said this before. That 300 hours video, not my best work, I will say. I mean, okay, it's like average in the grand scheme of my entire channel, but I feel like in terms of the quality ever since that one prototype finish video, the quality of videos just have been going downhill. It's because I'm rushing more. I'm trying to code more and edit less, and it's showing, but I guess that's kind of what you have to do when you want to make progress. I don't know. I still need to do a lot of work behind the scenes in terms of fixing my video editing workflow after everything got imploded when my computer exploded. But that's, again, a me issue. All right. Make the AI do it. I don't even, okay, the thing is, I use DaVinci Resolve for all my video editing, right? I don't even know how it would make a project template in DaVinci Resolve, because I don't even know how it's laid out and everything. You had so much footage to go through as well. Yes, I have. Oh my God, especially because the progress that I'm reporting or trying to summarize spans from when we were at 150 hours and now we're at 600 hours, right? When I made that video, we were at like 550 hours. So I had to fucking summarize 400 hours of footage, go through all of that, try and find relevant clips and points that like highlight what my journey and shit like that. At some point, I just realized like, this is impractical. There's no way, not even a fucking Mr. Beast team would do something like this, okay? Fucking 400 hours of not just a singular storyline, but 400 hours of mini arcs and different learning developments spliced in between that are meant for like 7 different videos. Like, my management of all the footage and all of the progress that I've made in the last 500, 400 hours have been so bad and so impossible for me to go through. Make joke, limit crash out about his whole video workflow. It's personal. That shit is personal, okay? I spend more time editing these videos than I do actually coding sometimes, okay? It's a valid crash out. It's worthy of a crash out. So more update videos? I want to make more update videos. I do. It's just so time consuming. It's just so time consuming. It's like it's not like coding as well, where I can pick it up the next day and I'll like have all the ideas in place to keep working and going along the same idea. Because it's more creative and it's a lot harder for me to put into writing and storyboarding and all of that shit, whenever I come up with a video idea, I sit down, I start doing the creative workflow of like finding all the clips, storyboarding, all of that shit, and then I start actually editing and putting it onto a timeline, okay? This is one day, maybe 12 hours, one sitting. And then I'm like, okay, time for a break. I go to bed, I wake up the next morning, I look at this shit, and I'm like, bro, who made this script? Is this the same person? And I just hate it. And so I scrap it, I go back, I try and make another fucking script, storyboard, all that shit, because I'm not satisfied with it. And it's not just like it's not like refactoring code where it's just like, oh, this isn't perfect. I need to make a slight edit, or I need to throw this entire thing out and restructure it so that way it achieves the same thing, but it's done differently in a more optimized way. No. The reason I throw the entire thing out, not to approach the video the exact same way, but to approach the video with a completely different lens on the entire story and my feeling of that fucking lens, my feeling of the opinions that I'm stating in that fucking video changes every single fucking day. And so I don't know what kind of videos I want to make. Whenever I make these fucking videos, I just, at some point I have to be like, okay, I can't keep rewriting these videos. That last video, the 300 hours video, I rewrote that shit 7 times and I'm still not happy with it, even when I'm pressing release. Like, oh my God, man. Bro needs better help as a sponsor. I really do. I really do. Video editing just makes me go psychotic. It makes me go fucking sicko. Oh my God. You don't understand this, the pains of struggling, the pains of video editing. It's actually a struggle worse than coding. How making an AI brought me to therapy. Isn't there, I swear I have a video title where it's like making an AI to listen to all my problems or some shit, and it's just me in a chair talking to a therapist that is Jay Eisen. People sleep on that video. I think that's actually a good video. Let's see. Yeah, actually no, it was just speech to text. Nah, the point still stands. Ever since the beginning, I've been going psychotic over fucking editing. This shit never gets easier. They say it gets easier. I feel like I'm spending more and more time editing. Actually, no, that's a lie. You know how long it took me to edit my very first video? The very first video where I make the prototype Discord bots for my AI VTuber? I think I finished coding for that in July. And I was trying to edit the video for that every single day ever since I finished coding, okay? I didn't release that video until September 15th. I spent a month and a half learning to edit and then putting together that entire fucking video. And not gonna lie, I think that is my best work right there. That one video is my best work, but fucking hell, a month and a half. Granted, I was learning to edit for the first time, but it's not. It doesn't get easier, it's just more complicated. Yeah, it gets way more complicated because every time I release a video, I'm like, okay, I'll level up my skill set. Let's level up even more. Let's do something even crazier the next fucking video. And so maybe you guys didn't really see it that much, but like every single one of these videos, I'm trying to do something new with my editing. I'm trying to add something new, trying to add something extra to the workflow, trying to add some higher production quality, if you will, trying to learn one new skill for every single video when it comes to video editing, not just coding, right? So that last video, the 300 hours video I did, I spent so long trying to make fucking animations for that shit. I did make some animations, but they were super rudimentary, all things considered. And I was considering for the next video that I was gonna make, or I was making at the time, to like actually go full out with the animation, like 50% of the video be some sort of animation. But yeah, I just scrapped that video because it just doesn't make sense for it to be a standalone video. All right. 23 minutes of yapping. I'm getting good at this. Actually can be a pro streamer. No way, pro yapper. Yeah, I think we delayed long enough. Let's get started, shall we? Yes. Let us start the timer. All right, what we're doing today, we are making the orchestrator. And the orchestrator is like, I don't know how to put this in simpler terms, but all the microservices we have here, all the different servers, they're disconnected and they individually implement some functionality, but alone, they don't make up an entire AI VTuber or an AI companion. This new application or this new service that I'm making uses all of the servers that we've made so far and uses them to try and build a workflow that takes in responses and outputs responses end to end. So all of the speech to text, the text to text, the text to speech, all of the tool calling, everything. So this is bringing it all together. I'm gonna go back and watch the 309-hour video, then I'll be back, 300-hour video. You can watch it after the stream. You gotta stay right now so I can get that nice ad revenue, which I don't even get from Twitch. I don't even know where that money goes to. Streaming's expensive, I guess. Bro's collecting servers like candy. Yeah, look at this shit. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 different servers. I mean, prompter server doesn't really count, but we're about to have 9 servers. And in fact, we might even have more servers when I make more MCP servers as well. But what are we gonna call this? We're gonna call you... Actually, I'll make a main.py right now. This main.py is not going to be the orchestrator. This is just going to be the entry point that sets up all of the services, right? So we need to do launch all microservices and close all microservices on shutdown. This is all this script is going to do. And then we're going to have another script called this orchestrator. Orchestrator. I don't know how to spell. I'm not good with English. English is me not. Orchestrator. Orchestrator. Ah, we got it. Okay, nice. I'm not completely dumb.
What did you say?
Can you make shadows mod? I keep forgetting. /mod. Shadows 4, 3, 2, 1. Did that work? Shadows, type something. Me not English. Promoted V2A, congrats. Welcome to the cult. Yeah, me no English. I'm terrible with English. All right. In order to launch all these services, we need to make subprocesses. So import subprocess. And I think this is just going to be a normal script. There's nothing special going to happen. There's nothing special going to be happening with this script. So it's going to have a try block, an accept, and that should be it. This accept block should just be for cleaning everything up. And this part should be for launching all microservices. We don't need to launch the MCP servers because the MCP client should take care of all of that. And this should close all microservices. Born to pipe, forced to save points. Welcome to the real world. Ain't nothing coming cheap no more. I always forget how to launch these subprocesses. But let's try this. Let's first try launching the Mellow server. So Mellow server is equal to subprocess.popen. I don't know if popen is the right one to use. I don't know, because I just want to open it as a service. I don't necessarily need the IO coming from it. I don't know, whatever, that's fine. The argument is going to be, where do we use popen? We use popen for llama CPP and Whisper, right? So we can just copy it from there. If I come over to server and llama, let's say, llama, actually no, Whisper might be simpler to look at. No, it's not going to be in here. It's going to be in models, Whisper. The pipe rapture was peak when pipe was 10 points. Pipes was never 10. Pipes was 100 minimum. And this is the command. Yep, okay, here we go. Yes, okay. So, first of all, we get the command here. This is the command that we're using to run for p open. Then we need to specify whether if it's a shell, the standard out, the standard error, these two should be fine. Yes, yes. The command on the other hand, there we go. Move this over. All right, this is what it should look like. Dev null, we need to also import from subprocess, import dev null. So this should open up our one server here. This isn't the actual server yet. We need to, okay, hold on. This is going to be source, and then the entry point is going to be mellow server.py, and this is going to be Python. But wait, we need this to be the same environment as well. Ooh, ooh, this could be interesting. We need them all to have the same Python environment, the same conda Python environment. And I don't think this will have it. The port and all of this stuff, no, we don't need this. The only thing we need is the config. Config is equal to config/dev.yaml. We'll make this configurable later. The rest of this should be fine. All right. The first thing I want to see is, will this open just fine? Or .kill. If mellow server, then mellow server.kill. Mellow server is equal to none, and this is a subprocess dot process. What is it? It's some sort of object. Create a new p open instance. It doesn't tell me what it returns though. Fuck. If mellow server. Okay, let's give this a quick try. I want to see if the mellow server will be launched and shut down properly through through this entry point. And mellow, if this loads using the same Python environment as the one that I have currently loaded, then it should be fine. Otherwise, we'll have a problem and we actually need to launch. We need a way of activating the environment before we actually launch the program or the service. And I think we might have some code for that inside of the original project AISIN. However, let's first of all activate our environment and run this script, python./main.py, source main.py. Ew. Oh. Shit. Well, let's first of all check to see if that even worked. This should be finally. And for accept, no, we'll just print shutting down. Where is the logs? We should hopefully see that the mellow server started. Yes, starting mellow server. but it never shut down, which means I need to open Task Manager and shut that down because it's a loose process now. Hello, where are you? Python? Is it actually running? I should probably check. It would be running on, if I can find my configuration, for Mellow, it would be running on a 9001. So if I come over to my browser and I head over to 9001, localhost 9001. Yeah, it is still running. And if it's still running, let us give this a quick try then. Let's warm it up. Let's see if it has all its dependencies. I mean, given the fact that it is running with Fast API, I'm pretty sure it is running. Status OK. And if we hit generate on you to say, hello Twitch chat. Hello old chap. Execute. There we go. All right. We don't have to worry about loading up the correct conda environment. It will just use the one that we currently have from the main script, which is perfect. Simple, kill all Python processes. Okay, I'm looking through my list of Python of processes, but I can't find the one for Python. Oh, I just found it. End task. There we go. If I refresh this page, it's gone. Perfect. All right. Now let's try this again, but hopefully it shouldn't. Oh, wait. No, before then, we need to do mellowserver.join. We need to wait for it to finish. Wait the child process to terminate. No. This would be problematic because then we can't shut this down. Would it? Okay, you know what? Fuck it. Let's give it a test. If it doesn't work properly, we can just kill it in Task Manager. All right, hopefully, what we should see is that it starts up Mellow Server. The Fast API server should be up and running, and we should be able to see that in our browser. But this terminal should not finish the process. It should be waiting. And then when we press Control C, hopefully we will see the statement shutting down here, followed by the process, the Fast API server being killed. And I'm gonna print at the very end, successfully shut down. And over here, I'm gonna say successfully started. Now, one thing we need to do is we actually need to warm up all the servers that need to be warmed up. That's one thing that we need to do. Besides that though, I think that should be fine. That's an extra thing we'll have to do later. But if I hit run, successfully started, and it's not shutting down just yet. If we come over, refresh this page. That didn't work. Docs. There we go. It ran. We run this again. Try it out. Run should be status OK. After it finishes warming up, I should do health check instead. That's faster. But there we go. This is loaded, which means it has all the dependencies, including Fast API. And if I hit Control C, shutting down, successfully shut down. And if I refresh this page again, Fast API should not be running, which means we successfully loaded and stopped the servers. That's good. Now, before I actually load up this, or before I actually say I've successfully started the server, I want to perform a warm up on it. So warm up. We're gonna need the requests library for this. So import requests and requests.get. Is this a get request? We'll need to start a new server again to try. We'll just start Mellow. There we go. Refresh. What kind of endpoint are we working with? I will say Mellow does take a long time to start. There we go. It's a GET request, so that's all good. I need to import the actual configuration stuff. So from util.config, import config. The only problem with config right now is how we're setting things up for config. Because if you look at the other servers, something like Llama server, when we initialize config, we have to follow it up by setting it up for a particular profile. Now, we aren't going to have a particular profile, and what this actually does is, using the group, it loads up this particular environment. Now, I'm gonna say we don't actually need to do this. We can just make this environment file global instead of per process. And that's what I did say I would do off stream, but I didn't end up doing it because I'm a lazy piece of shit. So we'll put environment file path globally now and remove it from everywhere else. If I do need to load up a different environment, then I'll just have a specific environment file path field for that particular profile and load it up separately. Otherwise, it's not a big deal. I don't need it. By default, we'll just use this environment file path. And so, come back to config, refactor this to be config, config environment file path, that's all good. And config load, config args. Yes. We don't need groups anymore then. We just need groups when we're getting stuff because this is just a useful enumeration to have. And that will also mean we need to refactor everything here. All right, let's get rid of you in the setup, you in the setup. That was Llama. MCP client server. Mellow. Orchestrators, nothing in there. Prompter server. Twitch auth, no. Twitch MCP. I just realized, actually, no, this is not a problem. I might need to import Flask or put Flask into requirements. I do have it. Okay, that's not a problem. Never mind. Never mind. Ignore what I said. And that should all be good now. Meaning we should be able to just import config, say, in fact, we don't even need this setup anymore. We can move setup into the initializer. Like so. And we can go back through all of the servers here and get rid of .setup. All right, we should be good now. So we can call config is equal to config, initialize that. And inside of config, we should now have access to all the profiles and their configuration, and that should include the host and the port. So for warmup, we're gonna call get on HTTP. Yes, HTTP / the host followed by the port / warmup. Dot format on this to be config.get. Config groups, we need config groups. This is mellow, and we want the host, followed by the same thing, but the port. This is a simple GET request. We don't care about the actual results. Do we care about the actual results? Actually, hold on a second. Is this asynchronous or no? Request.get. Can I make this asynchronous? Fuck it, I'll just make it asynchronous. Import async IO and requests. Actually, no, requests. Fuck, I can't remember. Requests. None of it has ever been asynchronous, right? Yeah, I would need AIO HTTP, which I do not have. So we don't need to make this. Don't need async IO actually. We'll just get rid of that. Okay, that's fine. We'll just do it in sequence, but I want to wait for this process to actually have been started. And so we need to wait for the server to actually start. I want to have a retry system on this. Can I have a retry on this? Number of times to retry? No, I can't. Okay, whatever. For now, we'll just leave it like this. Let's run this script. And let's see if the server will be up and running and has already been warmed up by the time we access it. Oh, main-h is missing. Right, my bad. I need to configure this as well to include the config dot format config dot what's it, args. I need to add the args here as well. Args, self.args. Self.args dot, what's it, config file path dot config. Config.args.config. Sure, why not? Yeah, okay, let's give this a try. This will be main.py using config dev.yaml. Yeesh. What happened here? Singleton, maximum recursion depth exceeded, calling a Python object. Where is this coming from? Source Mellow server. There wasn't a problem when we were doing this initially. If I comment you out, we'll still see the same thing, which means it's a problem with config here. Why is this the case? config.args.config. Oh, because of this. Config is creating its own config. Why are we doing that? Why are we not just using self? That's a major oversight. What the fuck? Okay, sure. And what is this config? Self.config. Load self.config is equal to none. Sure. We load it up and then we get the global. Okay. Okay. Hopefully this is fine now. I was just doing recursive initialization, which was dumb. And in fact, I can probably uncomment to this. Control C. Hopefully this closes everything. I need to spam Control C for it to properly shut down, which is annoying. That might have to do with mellowserver.wait though. I don't know, I'll have to find a solution for that. Because I don't want it to busy wait either. I don't know. I can probably set up a signal killer and have it wait. That's another solution. I have no clue. But let's give this a test. Let's see if warm up will work. Ooh, it did not. Because it threw an error, which means, did our server get killed? Our server did not get killed. Let me kill the server. Let's try this again. It's because we're sending the GET request too early before the server has actually set up. So this is getting a host not found error or some shit. Could not connect to host or something. So it runs, immediately shuts down, and our process is still running. Why is our process still running? Successfully shut down. Well, clearly it didn't successfully shut down. If I come over to Fast API, restart you, yeah, it's still running. End task. What is up with you? Doing mellow server wait. If mellow server is not none, then we want to kill it and wait again. Mactic says he's $28 in debt. Brother, you are not buying that Nero car. Let's see. Max retries exceeded. / warm up. Failed to establish new connection. No connection could be made. But why is it skipping this? Why are you skipping? Can I say mellow server dot poll? Check if it is set and return code attribute. No, not dead. Send signal, standard error, terminate, universal new lines, wait. I want to wait for the server to set up. The only way for me to do that is if I were to send a signal from Mellow server back up top here. Then it can send the actual request, but nah. It's also not killing it properly. It gets into this shutdown part, but it's not shutting down the Mellow server. Sig kill, sig kill. Killing Mellow server. Is it getting in there but just not actually sending the kill signal correctly? Why is it running just fine now? Oh, because the server was already started. Right. Let's just get rid of those. I mean, it does do it. It does do it correctly. It does kill it properly. Right, killing Mellow. But when it happens the first time, it doesn't kill it properly. Like, it says killing Mellow, but it's still alive. It's still very much alive. Right, the Python process over there. Oh my god. Let's end that test. Oh fuck, what the hell did I just end? That was probably the printing service, doesn't matter. But this doesn't wait for it, does it? Timeout, none, float, returns, return code. Wait for child process to terminate. It's not doing it. Dot terminates. Successfully shut down. If I look here and it is still running. Brother. Why are you not shutting down? I just need these servers to shut down. Warm up and shut down after a while. After a period of waiting. Because, the reason why it's failing to shut down is because it's still in the process of setting up the server. It doesn't actually process any of the termination signals until it's done setting up the server. But then why are we getting the wait signal back? Like, what? Print this wait. We should be waiting for it to terminate, but it's still running, and yet we get a result back? How is that possible? 1. Huh? Huh? How? Text encoding, user, group, extra, prompt side, process group. I don't understand. Also, I can add a process group? Wait, what? What's a process group do? Process group, int. Subprocess, stop process group. Create new process group. Okay. Wait. I want to learn about process groups. Hold on a second. Hold on, chat. This will make it look nice and organized under my task manager. Python subprocess process group. Using the subprocess module group. P open constructor, group is equal to none, extra groups, process group. How can I create a new group? Hold on. Looking through the documentation, we have, if you need to modify an environment, the start session and process group parameters should take the place of code using no. If group is not none, the set reg ID system call will be made to the child process prior to the execution of the subprocess. The process value is a string and it will look up this parameter. If extra groups, set groups. Where can I use this constant of create new process group? Create new process group. The popen creation flags parameter to specify that a new process group will be created. This flag is necessary for using os.kill on the subprocess. Oh. Create new process group. Grouping processes. Set new PG ID. Get the process group ID. Create new process group. Can I get the current PID? os.getPID. Okay. And then how can I start a new process with this ID? Set new PGID. Be cautious when using os.kill.pg with signal kill as it forcibly terminates processes and may prevent them from performing cleanup. Sigterm is more graceful for shutdown. I use this to open multiple processes by pipes. No. Man. Python subprocess create process groups in Windows. The process ID of this new group will also be the process group ID. I'll be honest, I do not know. Fuck it, no, it's useless, it's useless. We don't need that shit. We dilly-dallied long enough with that, I guess. Let's just try and... Can I terminate? Terminate, that's fine. Let's just try and start all the other services as well while ignoring the warm-up portion of it. Because honestly, warm-up is fine. So we need one for Whisper, Llama, Mellow, MCP. Is that it? And then the orchestrator. So this will be Whisper server. This will be Llama server. This will be Mellow server, MCP client server, and last but not least, orchestrator. All that should be fine. Now we need to wait for every single one of them. Llama server, Whisper server. There we go. And we need a copy paste for all of these. So Whisper server. Llama server. Mellow. MCP. And orchestrator. I guess orchestrator should be the first one to shut down, right? Then MCP. Just reverse order on all of that. The warm-up portion, we don't really care about that for the time being. I suppose we can relegate warming up to the orchestrator. That would seem to make more sense. But I think this is everything we need for the main.py. Because if I run this now, all the servers should be up and running just fine. Successfully started, right? If I come over to here, check out 9001. This is for what, TTS generation, that's fine. If I bring this to 9002, we should see speech to text. Nice. If I close all of you, we get successfully shut down, right? Successfully shut down. And if I refresh this page, we should no longer see the process running. However, there might still be some loose ones. If I look in Python in my processes, I don't see any actually, because all of them probably already did start, right? That's good. But if I were to launch this and then quickly shut down before any of them have a opportunity to finish setting up their servers, then we'll have a bunch of straggling processes. So if I do this really quickly, successfully started, and then I shut it down, we have 2 strangled processes. Oh, 1. We have 1 strangling process, and I believe that should be Mellow, because Mellow takes a long time to start up, right? No? I don't know what this process is, to be honest. Oh, it shut down. It eventually shuts down, it seems. I have no clue. You know what? That's fine. I know it's an issue. I'll just manually work around it if I ever encounter problems with it. That's fine. But all of these should be running, and we have access to all of their host and port information through the global configuration. So this should be just fine. If I come over to the orchestrator now, we can actually begin to do some work here. And for the orchestrator, we want to, I guess, this is just going to be a normal fast API server. So we'll copy paste over the content from Mellow server, and we'll rename you to orchestrator. Orchestrator. Each one of these are going to be orchestrator. And orchestrator. Nice, and we'll add that enum over here. There we go. Everything should be set up for that now. We don't need to make any more changes here. We just need to come over to model. Yes, model. And we'll make a new orchestrator here. Actually, no. We're gonna put it in server. That makes more sense. And inside of the server, it's just gonna be like the other ones as well. We are going to import Fast API, set up cores. We're not gonna be using Mellow. We're gonna be making our own model for the orchestrator. The warm-up, yes, orchestrator. We'll fix that up in a second. Yep. And everything else, we'll work on this in a moment. But for this warm-up section, we want to, I guess we'll worry about that in the actual orchestrator model itself. So make a new file here called this orchestrator.py, and we'll make a new class for orchestrator. We'll import this into the original from model.orchestrator, import orchestrator, and we'll create this singleton. And in the process of creating this singleton, we should try and warm up all the other processes as well. So I come over to orchestrator. We'll want to this orchestrator compared to the other ones. Okay, no, I'm just checking how I set up configuration. From util.config, import config, and config groups. And so we'll do some miscellaneous setup, but the main thing we want to do here is warm up other processes. Or I guess not do it in here, but I don't know, set up values. We also need to import some singleton stuff. So from util.metaclass, import singleton, and the meta class here will be singleton. Oh my god. I'll be right back. I need to use the washroom. All right, I'm back. Why does this model look like that? Just scuffed model things, that's all. I didn't even get to see it when I sat back down. Yes, this init part we'll just pass for now because I don't know what we want to set up, but we do need a function for warming up. Warming up. We'll need to import requests as well as the configuration. So import request. And from all of the other ones, where is the original main pie? We'll just copy this statement and repeat it for every single one that needs to be warmed up. So config. I'm gonna keep a copy of config here. Self.config is equal to config, because that will probably be reused a lot. So self.config.get, self.config.get. This is for mellow warm-up. And we'll repeat this for every single one. Mellow warm-up, it's in clips. That is a goofy ass face. Unfortunately, I've never had the opportunity to see my eyebrows flip the other way, because we don't just have the eyebrows raised. The eyebrows raised version. We also have the, oh wait, I just saw it for like a split second there. I can't fucking flip the eyebrows the other way around. It's so constrained. He's trying really hard, fucking popping a vein, but I need to go to the hospital. Right, this one is going to be for Whisper. This one's going to be for Llama, Mellow, and MCP. This is for Whisper server. Llama server and MCP client server. All right, this is going to warm up the 4 of them, and in between each one, we need to iteratively check the results of it. So while true, try, except, true. Oh shoot, we also need to set up the logger, right? Oh, it should already be set up though. If I import it from util.logging, import logger, we'll have logger dot warning failed to warm up Whisper server, retrying in 5 seconds, and the exception info will be true. Right, while this is true, this will keep going, otherwise we will break out of this loop eventually. We want to check the status. Check status if whisper warmup.status code does not equal to 200, then we want to raise an exception. Raise exception. Failed to warm up whisper server. And this will include the reason. So whisper, no, wait. Fuck, is there an HTTP error?
Timer.
Oh shit, the timer. Thank you. Is there an HTTP error we can import? Import HTTP or some sort of error from exception, from error. I fucking know, whatever. I'll just put the code here and then the reason. Dot format. Whisper warmup dot, what is this? Status code and whisper warmup dot reason. Yes. So this is what we're going to be doing, right? For every single one of these, we'll have a retry mechanism for 5 seconds. An exception will be thrown every time we either can't connect or if the warm-up fails. And we should be seeing that within our logs. So we'll copy this 4 times. I feel like it would be easier to have a fucking wrapper class for this. You know what, we're gonna make a wrapper class for this. Define warm up with retry. Self, gonna take the URL and we're gonna take the config group. Is there anything else we need? Oh, and the name. The name, it doesn't matter. We'll just pull that from config group. Copy over, while true, result or response, response. We're going to need to use the config group from here, because every single one of them should have host and port. The URL will come directly from the parameters, and the name of it will be the value of the config group. I think this is it, right? Dot value? Yes, okay. And we can use that here as well. Yes, yes. Now, instead of copy pasting this piece of shit all over again, we just do self, warm up with retry, add you. We don't even need to add the group, do we? We don't even need to add the group. I'll just put you there. We can just have the URL and that's it. URL.format. You know what? We're not going to include warm up. I'm just going to make a convention. Self.URL template is equal to http://u:/warmup. Warmup template. This will allow us to connect to any of them, and that should be fine. Right? Yeah, whatever. That's fine. And so we don't even need to pass the URL anymore. We just need to pass the group, which makes things a lot easier, actually. Fuck. Here we go. So we need to warm up Whisper, Llama, Mellow, MCP. And we don't need any of these anymore. That should be all, right? We have Llama, MCP, Mellow. The prompter is not needed. The MCPs will be managed elsewhere. Okay, that's fine. We also need the prompter, I realized. The prompter here. Yes. I don't think we'll need any of these messages. These are purely going to be used by the prompter itself. So that should be okay. Okay, we have the warm-up function here. Let's add this to our Fast API interface and see how this works. So, when we call the orchestrator, we want to warm it up. And then once it finishes warming up, we'll hit OK on it. Right? Yes, let's give this a try. The orchestrator is set to run where? I don't think we have a thing for it yet. Yes, we don't have a thing for it yet. The orchestrator will run on 9,000. 9,000 is a good one to run it on. Successfully started. Come over to, where are you? Here. And we're gonna come over to 9,000/docs. There we go. We have warm up and check health. First of all, check health, try it out. Should be status okay, right? Now, if we hit warm up, this should take a little bit of time as it warms up all of the different servers. But once this finishes and we go to a different server, we should see that they all run very quickly. I just don't know how long this is going to take. Let's pull up the logs and just make sure that it isn't forever throwing errors. Seems like it's good. Failed to warm up, internal server error. Well, it came back, status okay. There we go. Because all the other servers were still loading up all their stuff, right? If I look inside of my task manager, I have a crap ton of Python processes. I got 11 Python processes, so that's all good. Not going to show that because I don't want to leak anything by accident. But if I come over to 9001, which was mellow, and if you remember that taking very long, I'm not going to hit warm up, but I'm going to hit generate, and I'm going to say hello Twitch chat. Execute. Boom. Super fast, right? There we go. But leaks, you guys don't get your leaks. And if we come over to the mellow logs, we can see the latest result finished in 0.2 seconds, which is super, super fast, right? Start, stop, start, stop. Load Twitch chat. Where's the warm-up stuff? Or mellow? Mellow, warm-up. Oh, okay. The observed logs is only for generate and not warm-ups. Okay, that's fine. That's a-okay, which means our warm-up mechanism does work, and the retry mechanism also does work. If I shut this down now, hopefully all of them should shut down properly. So, oh wait, I almost shut down the Twitch reward system for my model. But if I come over to the correct terminal and I hit shutdown, Control C, we wait, we wait, we wait. I might need to spam Control C. Oh, I just hit Control C twice. And we have successfully shut down. If I come over to my task manager, Python, all Python processes have been cleaned up perfectly. Sick. All right. This mechanism works flawlessly. You should put a message that it has started to shut down. I do have it. It's supposed to be... Oh, I guess it doesn't capture it. I'll put one before everything. The reason it doesn't show is because, well, shutting down. The reason it doesn't show is because it's not actually shutting down just yet. Because for this exception isn't actually the lowest level exception we can capture. There's also base exception, which exists, right? And I'm pretty sure something like signal termination or signal kill, these are lower level than just the base exception. So we aren't going to capture it here. But we're also not actually shutting down because the first Control C doesn't do anything. The second Control C actually does something. It's probably shutting down some other thread that's happening. I don't know what it is, but if I hit Control C, this time it worked, right? Shutting down, successful, and then keyboard interrupt. That's all good. There we go. So whenever I want to add a new server, I'll just add it to this list here, wait for it, and add a new termination. which honestly is not that much to manage. It's pretty simple, right? We could try and abstract this to make it easier or more reusable, but this is my own project. I don't fucking care. That's character development right there. But yeah, we have warm up. We have warm up here. This is all good. All right. Next, he's learning. I'm learning. I'm learning to be fine with absolutely shitty code. The next thing we need to implement is some sort of input, right? Audio to user message. Input audio to user or as user. Pass on this one or raise not implemented error is probably better. So this is going to be for audio input, right? It's going to follow relatively the same mechanism as Project JEISN, where you would basically send a chunk of audio over to JEISN for it to transcribe and put in the prompter, but not immediately use in a response, just in case they are further adding, like, in case they are further talking or someone else is talking or there's more context to be had, right? This allows us to delay our responses but immediately perform transcription to lower latency. We can either input audio, which is the normal use case when you're in a voice call, but I also want to be able to input text in the case that you're texting on Discord, for example, right? Input text as user. We're going to need to extend this as well in the future to also include some stuff for vision, such as if you were to post an image on Discord, that image would get sent over to JEISN, sent through a visual language model, and then the caption of that will be put into the chat as well by the narrator. But that's all extra stuff that we don't actually have at the moment for the visual language model, but I will be adding probably off stream because I need to do some more experimentation with some more visual language models, because as good as Moondream is, I'm not entirely happy with the tone of its responses, right? I feel like the tone of his responses are too positive or too like generous and exaggeratory for it to be a very accurate description of a scene, which can affect how it responds to something like content reacts or whatnot. So we have input audio, we have input text as the user. When it comes to narrators when it comes to the narrator, which is the only other form of input possible, it's always going to be in the form of text. It should never be in the form of audio. And so we're going to have a function here, input text as narrator, and everything else from the actions to the responses, those are going to be handled internally and not through an endpoint inside of the Fast API. So input audio as user. What do we need to do here? We need, first of all, the audio bytes, the sample rate, sample width, and the channels. Oh, and the user. So first of all, we want to perform transcription with this using the audio bytes SRSWCH, and this should be relatively easy, right? Response is equal to requests dot, hold on, let's run this server really quickly. This is the nice part about this. Let's run this entire server. Whisper is 9002. And we have generate here. Generate takes in this. Here we go. And it is a post request, right? Post. So request.post to http://u/generate. Format this to be config group dot config groups self.config dot get config groups dot this is whisper, and we're getting the host as well as the port, and the headers should be content type is equal to application JSON, and the JSON should be whatever we have here, right? Now, because we're getting this directly from the Fast API interface, I'm gonna say this is a string, okay? I'm gonna say that's a string. I'm gonna say this is an integer, this is an integer, and this is an integer. The reason why I'm not saying it's bytes is because I don't want to have to go through the extra process of like decoding it and then re-encoding it when I'm just going to send it to Whisper anyways, right? It's kind of redundant to decode the audio bytes just to see what the bytes are when I'm not going to actually use them here. And this should be a string, right? So AB is just going to be AB, SR, SW. We can just pass it as is, CH. And the prompt I'm going to leave as an empty string for now. The reason why we have a prompt here is to kind of guide the generation, but I don't know what I want to add here just yet. I'm pretty sure the reason why we get the Guatemala issue with current JAISON is because I'm passing not just plain text, but a bunch of formatting tags as well. That's part of the conversation and part of the script. And so it kind of are tokens that is never seen before, or tokens that is not used to generating, and as well as being a massive block of text that is just probably not well trained or has a good context window to really process. So I think by default, like a system prompt would be good, the scene prompt, or maybe the last 3 messages raw with no speaker tags or whatever. But I don't know, this is to do. I'll decide this off stream. But we get the response back, and if the status code is equal to or not equal to 200, then we have a problem. Raise exception. Failed to transcribe audio. For this reason, dot format, response dot status code, and response dot reason. Right, this is going to raise an error. Otherwise, we will continue to add this to our prompter. So self.prompter dot add input user. This will be the user, right? The user and its content. So content will equal response.json, and inside of the JSON, we will receive back I don't have the actual schema here.
Peers is now following.
Thank you, CG Peers. Boys, yes, indeed. Let me go quickly generate some sample audio and then throw it into here. So I believe 9001 should be hello? Oh shoot, this died. Successfully started. We need the server to actually start. Come on, start the server. Start the server. There we go. And we're going to generate hello world. Generate. This will take a little bit because we haven't warmed it up. There we go. And we'll take all of the content here. Take all of this content and we'll make use of it inside of the transcription. So try this out. Content all here, add a colon at the end. And if we hit execute, we should see our result come back, right? Yes. Detail, wrong. Max retries exceeded to /inference. What happened here? Is this not it? Caused by new connection. Let me refresh and try again. I don't know why I'm getting this error on CH here though. Hopefully it's not a problem. Content, yes, okay, there we go, and hello world, that works just fine. So it's just going to be a basic JSON with content inside of it. So when I call .json here, we should see this exact thing. And to parse it out, we just need content. .get content, and otherwise it'll be none. If content is none, then we want to raise another exception saying that transcription is empty. Transcribed. Transcription is empty. Now, I don't actually want this to be an error. I just want to notify that this is empty. And so I'm probably gonna put this as a warning instead, logger.warning, that the transcription is empty. Shit, I don't know what to put actually. Logger.warning, transcription is empty, but I want the actual job ID. I'll just return a boolean to say whether if it did return or add it, the audio to the fucking history. Otherwise, if it's true, then yippee, success. If it's false, then it didn't add anything, and we can report that from the API side. So returns boolean for whether content was added to the history. And it's going to be like that for all of them. So boom, 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 right? Content is none, then we're going to return false. Otherwise, we're going to add and return true. So user and content. There we go, sick. That is so much leaner than what it would look like in Project JSON. But we can effectively do the same thing for input text here. This one should be a little bit easier. We're going to be expecting a user and a content. Both of these will be strings. I guess I should also take in the timestamp as well. Yeah, I'll take in the timestamp. This is just going to be some integer. Add user inputs. All right, I said I wouldn't add the timestamp for now, and I'll add it if I really do want to add time context in the future. It shouldn't be too complicated. I just need some sort of standard shared library, so that way they all kind of share the same standard for how they're communicating their times, which is going to be probably just millisecond timestamps, but I don't know. Whichever one should be easier to transfer around. But for this one, we can just add it directly and return true. This one is simple. Assert or if content is, or no, if not content, then we want to return false because there's nothing. Otherwise, we add it as per normal, and that's all okay. There was something else that I wanted to do though. Oh right, we need to assert that the user actually exists. So the user is not none. Assert user and user. I guess assert user is fine, because this makes sure that it's not none, and empty strings like this are also false key values, so this assertion is fine. I'll do the same thing down here. All right. Now, inputting text as narrator, this is only going to be content actually. And we can just do the same thing, right? Return bool, return bool. Exact same thing, but instead of add input user, we can do add input narrator. There we go. And that should be good. I'm gonna lean this out a little bit so it's a little bit tighter, a little bit more compact. There we go. Yes, sirree. Okay, there we go. We have our inputs all finished. Now, we can make the response pipeline right now. That's no problem. But there's another part that I kind of want to add, which is in Project JAS and kind of critical for stuff like the Twitch application, mainly the Twitch application actually. And it's the ability to use the underlying models directly without having to go through some extra pipeline and whatnot. So for something like the Twitch application, what we're using it for is to access the already loaded LLM in order to perform summarization of stuff like Twitch chat, right? We kind of need the same functionality here, but I don't have a reasoning LLM service out here, right? For the MCP client server that we have here, the reasoning quote unquote LLM that we're using here is just OpenAI, and this is built directly into this client. As for what Twitch will want to use, I guess for the time being, I can just make that integration OpenAI as well and remake the implementation for Twitch directly there. That can simplify a lot of things. So I'm just gonna skip that for now. You know what, we'll skip that for now. And instead we will skip directly to the response pipeline. So define response pipeline. Yes, response pipeline. I also need to think of how I want to do this as well, because, well, what was I gonna say? Actually, do I need to? No, I don't. I was gonna say I might need to do the whole request queue that we have with Project JEISON, right? Where messages are put into an asynchronous queue and processed in order one by one, but the results of the API requests to the server return immediately, and then the results of the actual generation, like the response, the transcription and whatnot, they're returned over WebSocket after some delay, right? This makes sure that we don't run into timeout issues, but honestly, I don't know if that will be an issue or not. I think it's a service for services that calls a service to call another service. It's a service that calls services. No need to get that complicated. Are you sure it's not a service for services that handle services that call other services that call even more services? That's just the nature of microservices. I don't know what to say to you. So for the response pipeline, do I want two or do I just want one? I can say text only, maybe. Response pipeline text. And I can have another one for, so raise not implemented error. And then I can have another one for audio that wraps around the text like we did before. Audio. And so this will output audio versus this outputting text. So first of all, let's do the text part. This one should be easier. We just want to get the prompt first of all. So self.prompter.get prompt for response. This is the exact one that ends with the response tag that prompts JEISON to complete what her response would be. And so include length, I'm not going to include anything because I want to include everything so far. That also reminds me, I will also need to do some pruning here. I don't know if I want to do pruning just yet. For now, I'm going to ignore pruning, but I'll add this to the to-do. To-do, consider history pruning timings. Because I don't want to prune with every single request, right? I just want to prune whenever the context gets too big to fit entirely into a single window, context window. And for that, I need to know what the context window is first and maybe put that into configuration and whatnot. But that's just something extra complex that I don't really need to care about for the moment. The things that I do need to care about is just getting this part done for now. So we want to generate the prompt, and this will be the actual prompt itself. Not like a system prompt, a user prompt. This is the entire input to the LLM. And then we can call upon the which one? The Llama server to generate a response. So to the Llama server. And this will have, hold on a second. Oh, fuck this. I'm just gonna run Llama server and not all the servers. You got mad at your code, so you came to watch me get mad at my code. I haven't got to mad at my code so far. This is chill. This is just like grunt work, really. And this is taking a long time to load though. There we go. So the API for generate, this is what we have. A fuck ton of stuff. Yes. We have a fuck ton of options we can input. But the main one is prompt. For temperature, for top K, I don't know what to put for here yet. I did do some reading into dry, by the way, to understand what each of these parameters do, and I did a little bit of a adjustment to the Llama server after that stream to add all of the parameters for dry and get rid of stuff like the frequency and presence penalty, because honestly, with the presence of dry, those are kind of useless, right? I'll put a to-do here. Set up the parameters for generation, because I don't know what exactly I want for this yet, right? But we want nPredict to be -1 because we want the contents of it to be as long as possible. We want to specify the stop sequence to be, I guess we should get that from the prompter, right? The actual stop sequence. And the LoRa, we'll probably hard code this in configuration, but all of these will just, I'll set these up off stream. Enable filter, true. Yeah, sure, I'll enable the filter. Again, this was all going to be probably configured. But this should return our response, and we can check if response.status code is equal to 200 or not equal to 200. Then we can raise an exception saying failed to generate text response. And in fact, I'm actually going to put this in a while loop, and you'll see in a moment, because this is going to be the mechanism for our action feed and narration feedback loop. So while true, we're going to generate the prompt and then generate the next response from JEISON, right? And if this response fails, then we failed to generate next text response for this status code and this reason. Dot format, response dot status code, and response dot reason. And this will end up throwing an error and cascading, right? But if we do get a response, then this will be one of two responses. So content is equal to, or no, response. T2T response, or T2T content. Content raw. Content raw is equal to response.json. Done. This should be content. Dot get content. Otherwise, it's none, right? And if this is, if content raw, or if not content raw, then we'll raise another exception because we shouldn't be getting empty responses, right? Raise an exception, T2T, or personality T2T, personality T2T got an empty result. And that's problematic for us because we should always at least be getting either the meta tag response or action, even if it chooses not to respond with anything. Right now, all your gen parameters in response pipeline are hard-coded, which limits flexibility and risks API mismatches. Huh? Best practice is to move these into configuration. Yes, I know. I'm just saying I'm doing these off stream because I do not know what values I actually want yet because I haven't actually decided what model I used. And I also don't want to go through the tedious task of setting up configuration right now, right? I can just throw these into my configuration somewhere here, somewhere like orchestrator, or maybe I'll have a separate one for like personality, gen params, something like this. Maybe it'll even be underneath the orchestrator and it'll probably specify all the contents that we have here and also make it so I have another configuration endpoint to say whether I want to enable filtering or not, or play around, switch around, lower-res, whatnot. The microservices behind these that I've created, they do take these in as actual parameters, configurable parameters. I'm just too lazy to configure them right now for the actual main service. But yeah, we don't want an empty content. Ideally, the very first row or the very first line of this raw content should contain either either response or raw. So this is going to be content raw is equal to, no, we need to split this by new line, right? New line. Content type is equal to content raw, going all the way up to the first new line. So, or maybe if I can check if it starts with. Yeah, okay, I'll do it like this. Content type is first equal to none, and if content raw starts with, I guess I'll make this a string for now. Starts with, come on, where's my linter? Begins with, starts with. If it starts with, I should probably add this to the prompter as well. But if it starts with action, or if it starts with, oh, fuck it, hold on. Where is it? Where is my, here we go. Action type label. I'm gonna put this as action. Otherwise, response type label. I'm gonna put this as response. I believe it should be response, right? Action. Response, yes, okay. Action, response. Limit pretends to not know half of what he's doing. It's not that I'm pretending, it's just that I am very bad with words. I am very bad with the English language. End token. This should be it, right? End, yes. Okay, so we have our end tokens. I'll refactor the prompter.py in the future to make use of these hard-coded values so things are a little more maintainable, but we can ignore that for now. The main purpose of me doing that is just so I can use them here safely. So we can say self.prompter.action type label. If this is true, then we'll say the content type is equal to I'm gonna make an enum. Fuck it. Where is enum? From enum, import enum. And we'll make a new enum here, class response content type enum. Again, just for maintainable code, just for my sake. This is going to be action equal to action and response equaling to response. Yep, okay. And from prompter, I can import this now. So we'll set content type to equal the response content type dot action. And if that's not true, we'll set this to response. else if. Otherwise, we have an error and this is an invalid type. Else, raise exception. I cannot fucking type for the life of me. Raise exception that got invalid content from personality T2T. Right? You raise this exception, return it back, that's fine. Otherwise, if the content type is equal to an action, then we need to process this action through the MCP server or the MCP client, get back the results, store that into the prompter, and then repeat this whole process again. This process will continue to repeat until JEISON finally decides that they want to respond as opposed to performing actions. That's how this mechanism is going to work. So else if, the only way for it to get down to here is the response, but we'll have a catch-all anyways. Else, raise exception, got unexpected content type. Dot format, content type, or string content type. Because really, this should not be even possible, right? With this if condition up here. If we'll do action in a second because that's more complicated. But with response, we can just content. The actual spoken content is everything on the next line afterwards. So these content labels should actually be, I'm gonna put the new line character on them. Yes. This makes it so the content will be content raw, but everything after self response label, the length of it at least. And so this should be all the content, and this is what we return. As for action though, the action response is equal to everything after the action label, including the new line. And we need to send this off to the the MCP server. And the MCP server, if you'll recall, let's just close this one. And we'll start up the MCP client server. Hopefully we don't get into import errors because of missing configuration. Yep, that seems to be fine. /docs. Our action is just content string, so that's simple enough, right? So it's pretty similar to before. We get a new response. And let's rename this to be action prompt. And so for here, we'll pass in content, pass into action prompt. There's no other configuration because we want this to be not as variable, so we don't really need the other samplers. We just want it to be consistent with its results. So default is fine. Whatever we have configured inside of the MCP client should be fine. but we need to change this to be the MCP client server. So we can actually make the request to there. And this endpoint is called action/action. That's good. We get back a action response. And we need to parse this out the same way as before. If this action response is erroneous, then we got a problem. So fail to generate or fail to request MCP client. I guess I should rename this to fail to request response. Fail to request Llama server. So fail to request MCP clients. We get the responses here. Action response. And then we can, if this passes, then we can actually get the content out of it, which should be action result. Or action content is equal to action response.json, and we can get out of this .get content, otherwise it's none, and if it is none, then this is also erroneous. So if action content or not action content, then this should be erroneous. Raise exception, got or not raise an exception. We should just skip it. Or should we give it a default message? It might make more sense to give it a default message because I don't want it to fail here. We know realistically shouldn't be. Fine, we'll give it a default message. Something like could not get results from action. Something like that. And then we'll add it to the prompter. So self.prompter.add input action, and the content of that will be input our action content, and then we can continue, right? That's fine. So I think this is it. This is our entire loop, right? While true, we get the next prompt to generate on, we send a request with some actions that will be configured. We check the codes to make sure that it is valid and it is a valid action or response. If it's an action, we perform that action, get the results back from the MCP client, and then return back to try again. Otherwise, we return back the results. Otherwise, it's just invalid. This is good. Should be fine. I think that's all for this part at least. And now for the audio wrapper around it. We'll perform this pipeline. So the content is equal to self.this. And this will automatically perform the entire feedback loop of action and response, and it will only return back the spoken response. So we don't have to worry about this returning back an action response. And so the content we can guarantee will be something that the LLM wants to be spoken. And so we can just take this content and pass it through the Mellow service that we have. So response is equal to requests.post. Let me just copy paste from over here. And let's stop this and run the Mellow server so we can get the API for that. We'll need to wait for the actual server to start. But once we get the response from that, it's the exact same thing. If the response contents are empty, then we have a problem. If response status code does not equal to 200, then fail to request Mellow server. Oh. Fuck. Every time I do Control S to save, it refreshes everything. I feel like, okay, I feel like it's a nice feature to have when I need it, but overall it's been slowing me down quite a bit more. So I should set these to false. At least for Mellow, because Mellow takes a long ass time. But generate here, this is what we have, right? Again, I'll make this configurable later. But for now, that is not a problem. It's just a detail. So the content will be the content we get from here. To do, add configuration. And this might be dynamically configurable as well for something like speed. So if this is all fine, let me just quickly try it out. We'll get back audio bytes, sample rate, sample width channels, but let's just be certain. So I'll say hello world, generate. This will take a little bit of time. Let's instead spend that time to make the parsing logic. So return, I'm going to return a dictionary here. And this is going to contain audio bytes. Wait, the actual JSON content. Response JSON is equal to response.json. And this should contain .get AB, which is empty. And this is also going to be in string format as opposed to byte format, because again, we don't need to really unpack that and decode it here when we're just going to be sending it off immediately anyways. And so the AB here, and we need the same thing for SR, SW, CH, SR, SW, CH. And by default, these are going to be, if these are not provided, then it's a problem. But I don't really care about handling these at the moment. But yeah, we get audio bytes here, not AB. And this should be fine. We're not going to be like streaming it out per se. We're not going to be performing sentence streaming because we've seen the speed of Mellow and how fast it can generate responses, right? Like, let's pull up lorem ipsum. Lorem ipsum generator. Let's generate like a whole last paragraph and see how long it takes to generate. Because I guarantee you it is pretty quick. This is probably as long as a response should be from JEISON for a spoken response. If it's anything longer, then we kind of have a problem with our fine tuning, because that's not the purpose of JEISON, right? Her purpose is to give relatively shorter responses in a conversation. But if we take this, come over to Fast API and tell it to generate this entire paragraph, how long is this going to take? We are going to be loading up the model at the moment, but once this finishes loading, we'll give it a different paragraph because we forgot to warm it up after we hit Control S. But there we go. Let's run this with this paragraph. Run 3. There we go. That was relatively quick. We can get the exact timing by looking at our logs here. Mellow, the latest request, took about 1 second. And in my opinion, I am completely fine with that kind of a delay, especially for a pretty bad scenario such as this. More realistically, I can expect maybe a response that is like, I guess this long. This is already a pretty long response in my opinion for the purposes that we're using JAISIN for. But if I hit execute here, we can see that this took 0.35 seconds, right? This is super fast. We don't have to worry about the latency here. In more of the time, we're going to be seeing more latency from the whole action response text-to-text loop. And so we don't have to worry about sentence streaming here. We don't have to worry about sentence chunking. We can just do one entire generation and pass it back as one whole packet. The only thing with this packet is that, again, we're sending it over WebSocket, and the package size of WebSockets tend to be a lot smaller than like the body of a post request or the data body of a response HTTP, right? HTTP response. And so we will need to stream back the audio bytes, but that's not the problem of the orchestrator, that's the problem of the fast API service. So this is all we need, really. We might add a separate endpoint or a separate function for configuration, but again, that is something that I'm gonna take offline to do because configuration is boring as shit. The whole history pruning, again, that's also something I'm gonna do off stream. But this is much simpler, and I think this is all we really need for the time being, at least with what we have, right? Very nice, very simple. I prefer looking at this than I do whatever the fuck is going on inside of Project JAISIN. Is there any other functionality or important parts of the prompter we need to integrate? Capabilities. Oh, yes, there is an important part. Updating the scene and updating the capabilities. The capabilities, this is coming from the MCP client. The scene prompt, we need to pull this from, I guess we'll pull it from configuration, that's fine. As for everything else, generating prompt for response, generating prompt full. Generating prompt full would be used for summaries and chunking. That's mainly for the memory module, which we don't have here yet. And it's probably something that I'm not going to implement until October when I have more time. Generate prompt history. No, we don't care about these. Pruning history, we've already talked about that. Everything else is fine. Okay, so this update scene. Updating scene will be part of configuration as well, but we need to call it at least once when we are warming up, or no, when we initialize. Self.prompter.set update scene with config dot get config groups dot orchestrator, and this will be the scene prompt. We'll add this to our configuration. Scene prompt. This is just an empty string for now. You are an AI VTuber named JAISIN. Let's just say that for now, right? For example purposes. And self, no, can't update the capabilities just yet. I suppose we could just add this to warm up instead. Update scene, scene prompt. It's fine, it's fine. I'm gonna move this into the warm up phase, and I'm gonna make sure that I warm up the orchestrator before I do anything else. So we finish warming all of these up. We'll update the scene prompt and we'll update the capabilities. And we need to get these capabilities from the MCP client. So this is going to be a GET request to the MCP client. Let me just boot up the MCP client actually. This is under 9004. Hopefully I have it there. I might not actually. Shit, I do not. Okay, I need an endpoint to get the capabilities. So get. Details/capabilities. This is going to be from the MCP client server. And there's going to be no data or headers to it because it's just a normal get. Right, this will get back our data. We'll keep retrying this part as well. Although it really shouldn't fail. If response.status code. Does not equal 200. Raise exception. Failed to get capabilities from MCP client server. This will only happen once, and if there's an error, then I'll just need to restart JI, so no problem. Right, otherwise we can take the response dot .json .get, and this would return the capabilities, and that should be it, right? Otherwise it's an empty list. Because this is a list of descriptions, one per tool that is available to it. And this should add the capabilities. So that's all good. I need to add a to-do then for this MCP client here. So to-do, make endpoint for returning capability info. In fact, I'm just going to do that right now because it shouldn't be too hard. This is going to be a GET request as/detail/capabilities. This is not going to take in any parameters. Return list of descriptions for each tool capability. This doesn't take in anything. Okay, sure. So we're going to observe log for this, even though it's not really necessary. We're going to call up the MCP manager and we're going to let me just pull up the MCP manager. MCP manager. We should be able to get the generate JSON schema, call, close. We probably just can access the description directly, no? Tools description, clients, load MCP, generate JSON schema, call. Okay. Tool descriptions. Okay. Now this needs to be a list. Tool descriptions, where do we use this? We're going to call this tool description prompt. And we're going to have another or separate one as a list that we can return back. Or actually, I'm just going to pass this back directly because we're building out the list anyways. So it doesn't really matter. Yeah, we can just return this. MCP manager dot this prompt, and that's it. We don't even need this observe log because it's not necessary. It's kind of redundant. This is return description of all tool capabilities. Details, tool capabilities. Okay, this is fine. So this returns back content for the orchestrator, content, and this should be an empty string otherwise. We need to update capabilities now to just be a string. Must be a string of descriptions. Sure. New capabilities. What am I doing with these new capabilities? For each one of that, I'm adding this. I can ignore this actually. And just say, this is going to be self dot capabilities. Yes, self dot capabilities with a new line here, just in case, and then the end token, and that's fine. Return this. Capabilities. This is no longer a list, right? So we don't actually care about that anymore. Yeah, we don't actually care about this. Actually, maybe we do. Okay, because the MCP client here, this tool description prompt includes the schemas for the input, and we don't want that for JEISON. We want just the descriptions, right? And so the MCP manager will have this prompt, but will also want the self.tool descriptions. And so when we actually construct this prompt initially, we don't just want the tool prompt, we want to parse out the tools that this client has. So we want to pass back the name of the tool, the server of the tool, and we want the description. And I guess I'll also pass back the schema. Now, what are we getting from this? The client, for each of these clients, they'll have a list of tools. Inside of their list of tools here, it will have name, description, and input schema. So for each one inside of there, for tool in clients.tools, we'll add onto here the clients, self.clients. Self.clients is a dictionary. Wait, how did this work? Oh, client tools? Wait, no. Self clients. I'm so confused. Wait, did we absolutely mess this up? When we start this, self.clients, where are we constructing self.clients? No, this is a dictionary, so what are we calling load MCP? This is correct. Yes, this is correct. Okay, yeah, no, that makes sense. Yesterday, I just hard-coded some values and we skipped this entire portion. But this should be client for client name. This should be self.clients client name dot tool prompt. Then this should work. Self.clients. And then .tools, that's good. The server name will be the client name. The tool will be the tool.name. Description, tool.description. And tool.input schema, camel case. Yes? Yes, okay, that all seems to be good. And so, we have our list of tool descriptions. We can send this back through the MCP client server here. Tool descriptions. This will be tools or capabilities. Hi, how's it going? It's going, and we're pretty much done the orchestrator already. I don't think we're going to be testing it today. I mean, you know what? Fuck it. We'll test it today, but I'll need to once again hard code some values for the orchestrator. And actually, no, I'm not going to test it today because the LLM will not work right now because of how our prompt is formatted. So it's not going to work regardless until I fine tune a model to make use of my current prompt format. But then, and that's fine because we've already been here for almost 3 hours. By next week though, we should be able to test this and I'll save it for when I have everything prepared and I'll showcase JEISON in her entirety maybe sometime later on. Maybe not next week because I want to continue working on some stuff off stream to polish that up. But yeah, I think this is probably going to be the last stream we do in terms of personal Vita for a while. Okay, so we get back a list of capabilities here. We want to iterate through each one of these. So for cap and capabilities, we want to build out a prompt for update capabilities here. So cap prompt. This is just an empty string, but we'll append onto it the we'll append onto it the name as well as the description. Well, the name, the server, the name of the tool, and then the description. So dot format, cap, dot get, server, this being an empty string, cap dot get, the tool name and the description. So tool description. Right. Cap tool description, server tool description. Where the fuck am I? Server tool description. Yes. Then update capabilities with this capability prompt, and that should be good. Everything should be good now. There we go. So that's fine for the orchestrator. Now onto the main interface side of things. Oh my god. We'll need endpoints for what? Warm up, input, response. We need one for basically every single one of these. And so this should be relatively simple since we've done the bulk of the work already. I'll just copy paste over an example post request here. But this one will be for, let's say, input audio user request. This will contain input audio user request. This will contain the user, AB, SW, SR, CH. And these are string, int. I'm going to import field to add some descriptions to these. So this is description is equal to name of a user. And I'm actually going to add some validation to this. So can I add min length? Min length equals 0. Min length is equal to 0. Just some extra validation. This is good. Same thing for audio bytes. Min length is equal to 0, and this is UTF-8 encoded bytes, byte string. This will be a sample rate of audio, and this will be greater than 0. Same with sample width and channels. Sample width of audio in bytes. Sample channels of audio. There we go. Now we can use this as input to slash input slash audio slash user slash audio. Input audio user. And then update the description, input audio to history as a user. Calling upon the orchestrator to input audio as user using user request.user request.ab SW and CH. This is all good. This will return a Boolean, so is added. And we can say if is added or return is added as being is added. I will need to make a WebSocket server here, actually. I'll do this off stream probably, but we need a WebSocket server for applications to connect to so we can send status updates to them, such as a new message has been added to the history and whatnot.
325 is now following.
Thank you, Plowman, for the follow. Because this will become necessary for something like, what's it called? For something like the response pipeline. Multiple applications will be interested in any response generated by any application. And so we need a WebSocket server in order to say, okay, we've got a new event happening and it broadcasts it out to all the listening applications. That's something that I'm going to do off stream because it's going to take quite a while for me to actually do that. But yeah, I'm just going to finish up the REST API side of things, but I'm going to put a to-do here. To-do, make a WebSocket server and broadcast events. What are we making? Also, how are you? We are making the overall application that brings together my AI VTuber, right? I don't know if you've been here before, but I have an AI VTuber that I'm currently completely remaking from scratch because I hate the old architecture of my open source project and I needed my own version so I can speed up my own development and make cooler features that might not make it into the open source project, but I want for myself, right? I've been working on this for probably this newer version for 2 weeks now, and this is pretty much the last wrap up before I take it off stream and polish everything up. No, you're new here? Yeah, we got a whole YouTube channel for documenting my entire journey of learning how to make an AI VTuber and everything, and just learn to code in general. Yeah, this needs an event for it, but we'll leave it like this for now. Is added, is added. Yeah, okay, that's fine. We'll need one for input text as the user, and this is just going to be content. Content of user. So is everything in Python? Yeah, all the stuff that I made is in Python. We are using some binaries though, at least for my own personal project. But yeah, pretty much everything is in Python since it's just faster for development and it's, I guess, the language that I'm most comfortable with, even though it has given me quite a few headaches when it comes to trying to manage a open source project and make it easily deliverable for everybody. I would have much preferred to make this in a typed or compiled language if I had all the time in the world, but I got content to make, you know? We content farming out here. User and content. This is everything, right? Yes, yes. And the exact same thing is passed back. So input text to history as a user. Who's that behind you? That's my AI VTuber, or who used to be my AI VTuber. Because of how I've set things up for my stream, if I get rid of her, I'll need to like reformat a bunch of the stream layouts, which I kind of don't want to deal with. So she's just kind of been shrunk down and sat behind me this entire time. This is input text narrator. Same thing, but we don't have a user. Content of the narrator. Same thing here, input text narrator, input text to history as a narrator. And we'll take in the content, input text as narrator. This is just grunt work, man. Is added, yes. Okay, continue. This is actually for narrator. There we go. So that's all the inputs done, right? I'll make one for, actually no, I'll do that off stream because that's part of configuration. I was gonna say I was gonna make one for updating the scene prompt, but that's fine. What we need now is for queuing up the response pipeline for text or for audio. And we actually don't have a queue right now. Again, that's gonna be something that I probably add off stream or might not even add at all. Given that this is my project, I can set my own constraints and my own practices. If this were an open source project where I have like an open API that people can interface and make their own applications for, then sure, I would add that sort of thing like we have with Project JAISN. But for me personally, that's a lot of maintenance and a lot of extra code that I need to develop, which I do not want to do right now, even though I could just copy paste, but whatever. For this, we are going to say 2 post requests. Actually, no, 2 post requests? Yeah, 2 post requests, but we're not going to have a body for them. We're not going to have a body for them. We're going to say generate. This is going to be for text, and this is going to be for audio, which also includes text. Generate audio. Generate audio, generate text. And this is generate a text response. Generate a audio response. We don't have anything here, so we get rid of request and the content of this, Content is equal to orchestrator.generate or response pipeline text, which generates a string. Yes, this generates a string, not a dictionary. And so we'll return the content as so, right? Again, this is not what it is going to look like at the end of the day. This is just for my own purposes, but this is the main thing that we need to do, right? I still need to broadcast this out over a WebSocket server and potentially add on metadata for like what kind of tools were called and whatnot. How long have you been coding in general? Do you know other language? I know, okay, I started off as a web developer, and so I spent a lot of time with HTML, CSS. You can't, if you even consider those coding languages, I wouldn't, but JavaScript as well as the main frameworks like React.js, Next.js, Express.js, if you want to count that. That was like my first main language, but for school, I also learned C, C++, and a bit of Python. There's also some more obscure languages, but I've never touched those ever since those classes. So I would say, like, actually coding, I've been programming for 5 years now. But I've only been seriously programming for the last year, and that was when I started this entire AI VTuber journey, right? Everything else was just like bare minimum to pass my courses and whatnot, or to get a internship and not really care about it, right? I was like a pretty bad web developer, but also a web developer nonetheless, at least being able to do the job. Before then though, I did have a little bit of experience doing some classes or like scratch programming and whatnot, but like, I'll be honest, I did not learn anything from those. Especially my very first class when I was in grade 6. I took part of this contest course, and it was like the middle of the term. I did not know a single language. I didn't even have an IDE or anything. I couldn't even like make a main function inside of Java, and they were teaching us Dijkstra's algorithm. And so my first experience was like, man, this is just too hard. I'm never programming in my life. And I swore off programming all the way up until like senior high school, when my friends were like, yo, we should start an engineering club. Yo, you should apply for blah, blah, blah University of Computer Science. And it's like, fine, why not? Why not? Well, yeah, there we go. This is all I'm gonna do for now on stream. I'm gonna take this off stream now and continue working on this after I come back from getting dinner and all that. But yeah, I'm not gonna test this now because it's pretty much kind of incomplete, but we've got the bulk of the work done now. We have the ability to generate audio, text, input some stuff into the history, perform tool calling iteratively in a pretty nice manner that incorporates the AI VTuber's personality. And I would say all in all, this is a lot cleaner than what we have for Project J Eisen, because Project J Eisen's code is a clusterfuck. But this is a lot nicer. This is a much nicer architecture. I should have gone with microservices to begin with, because honestly, going with an orchestrator and a main entry point function script to initialize all of them makes it a lot easier, and I don't have to tell people that they have to manage their own deployments and whatnot. Plugins, this is what plugins should have been. I will admit, maybe plugins has its merit. Okay. But yeah, anyways, I am gonna head off and go get dinner now, and I'm gonna return back to working on this on my own off stream after the fact. But thank you all so much for coming out today. Nice to see all of you. Fucking hell, 3 hours today is a long time. Yeah, very cool. Wait, 7+, you have about 7+ years in Java Kotlin. I hate Kotlin. Kotlin is the worst. But yeah, Java. I've done a little bit of Minecraft modding in Java as well, but I'll be honest, I do not understand. I could not follow along with their object-oriented programming that they do inside of Java because of all the keywords and stuff. I know object-oriented programming, it's just that I wasn't too familiar or too practiced with it when I'm going into Java. Yeah. Anyways, see you all next time. And I will see you all next week. Another 3 streams, I think at least. But it's gonna be more chill. Not gonna be an onslaught of fucking dev streams. We're gonna go back to React content, and maybe I'll play Peak on stream. Are you back tomorrow? No, I need to go. Wait, what day is it today? I keep forgetting. Is today Friday? Today's Friday. Okay, yeah. No, I'm not here tomorrow. Anyways, I'll see you all later. Oh yeah, Plowman. There's also a Discord if you want to join. You can type in !point Discord or ! YouTube, and you'll get all of the links for all of that stuff. Also ! GitHub for my open source version of Project Vita or Project J Eisen. Yeah. Anyways, I'll see you all later. Goodbye.